Tonight on Year to Date, Ari's given the slip, not if Senator Woods can help it.
Pat McGill jolts some life into us.
And Baron John Weyerhaeuser joins the conversation in a word from our sponsors.
Jolters, get your threads ready. Year to Date starts now.
This afternoon, the SG Senate passed a bill that will urge Housing and Dining to write proper rules and procedures that ensure an innocent until proven guilty policy for RAs and other housing and dining student staff members if found in violation of their contract. This comes after an incident occurred which resulted in the firing of an RA and their subsequent dismissal from campus housing. Does this prevent bad RAs from being weeded out? With more on this tonight, I will be talking with Class of 2010 Senator Andrew Woods and Class of 2009 Senator Justin Broubalow. Thanks for joining us, guys. Welcome. Senator Woods, why author this bill? What happened that led you to sponsor this bill?
Basically, there was the RA that was fired, the people that lived on his floor basically were upset. And they came to me, and obviously it is my job to represent the student body, so I looked into it. I talked to him in specific, and when he started telling me his story, it kind of made me a little bit disturbed on the way that things were handled. So therefore, I went in and started investigating. From there, I found some discrepancies in their contract. So then I decided, maybe we should go to student government and use it to basically push Housing and Dining to make some changes.
Okay. Senator Broubalow, part of an RA's job is that before they become an RA, they have to sign a contract. By signing a contract, aren't you agreeing to the terms in the contract?
Well, sure. I don't think this bill is meant to let RAs get away with breaking their contract. What's important for me in this bill is that the Housing and Dining is also held to the contract, in that they can't terminate a contract without just cause. And the due process that the bill creates makes sure that the RAs aren't being terminated for any reason, any old reason.
Exactly.
You want to add on to that, or?
No, it's the same thing. It's just basically holding Housing and Dining to some proper standards that, so they have some just cause when firing an RA. It's pretty simple.
Okay. Yeah. So, if someone's caught doing something that they aren't supposed to do, shouldn't they be punished? Isn't this possibly urging Housing and Dining to make it easier for bad RAs to keep their jobs?
It has nothing necessarily with preventing Housing and Dining from letting go of the RAs. It's making sure if they do or are going to let them go, they have just reasoning behind it. If a student, it's the same thing with a student. A student may be found in violation, but he may not actually have violated the policy. So it's the same with the RAs. We're making sure they did violate it.
Okay. Well, in a perfect world, what would this due process be?
I guess in the perfect world, it was, that all the evidence is collected, that there was significant, witnesses, is all that to say whether the RA was drinking or not drinking, and therefore Housing and I could make a proper decision whether to let him go or not.
I understand and agree that we should be protecting RAs from being wrongly dismissed, but don't prospective RAs know exactly what they're getting into when they sign their contract, Senator Broubalow? I mean, don't they know that if they are caught drinking, that they're going to be fired? Shouldn't they be held to that standard?
Oh, sure, they absolutely should. And like I said, this is not letting RAs skate on their responsibilities and duties. It's making sure that Housing and Dining can prove that they're that the RA is breaking the contract. Because I said this on the floor of the Senate today, that even in the real world, employers can't fire employees for any old reason. They have to have just cause for doing so. And the employee always has the opportunity to appeal that termination through a court of law.
Okay. Well, I don't know the exact details of what happened to this RA. Maybe you do. I don't know. But do you happen to know whether they had just cause for firing this RA?
I don't know exactly specifics on how they let go of him. I do know that Jams just in the last 2 days actually said that he was innocent for what he did. He was no part of it.
Okay.
So whether Housing and Dining felt differently, well, they obviously did because they let him go. but that's what we're trying to change here, because obviously the rules set up by the university to prove whether people are guilty of breaking university policy, they worked. They basically showed that he was innocent. While as housing and dining, they fired him. I mean, it's a contrary.
Right.
between the
So
two.
housing and dining doesn't have a process that looks at all sides of the story right now, do they?
I mean, I don't know exactly what their process is, but because I don't know exactly the details, I have his story. And from what he told me in his story, if he is telling the truth, it basically doesn't look like they looked at the whole story.
Okay.
And so that's what we want to change.
Okay. Okay. And I mean, what would you do? I mean, do you think the Senate should be worrying about this? Do you think it's the Senate's job to deal with this issue?
Absolutely, because the job of the student government is to advocate in favor of the students. And if a student feels as though he's being wronged by the administration, it's the student government's obligation to step in and mediate between the two parties to ensure that all policies are being correctly followed and the student isn't being wronged or taken advantage of.
And is there anything more you guys can do? Is there anything more you can do other than pass this bill, which you did, I think, almost unanimously, if not unanimously today? Either one of you, do you have any more ideas on what you can do to further this cause to make sure that everybody has due process?
I mean, besides working on this bill, the best way I feel like it's going to get enacted or put into housing and dining is just keep putting pressure, especially public pressure. The more people that know about this, the more people that raise concern about how this was taken, will then can go to housing and dining and kind of say, hey, what's going on here? And the more they feel like they're publicly pressured in it, hopefully they'll change their way of thinking.
Any thoughts on that?
I just think that the lines of communication between the students and the administration need to be very clear and respectful on both parts. And we need to be able to have a relationship where we can come together and voice our opinions to the other party. And we hope that the administration can do the same if they feel there's something the students are doing wrong or something they want to explain why they are enacting a policy, that they feel comfortable coming to us and doing that.
Okay. But do you feel like there's enough outcry at this moment to be dealing with this issue? I mean, I know you talked with people on the floor, but I mean, I only heard about this, a couple days ago. Should we be talking about this when not many people know about it? Or is it your job to make sure people do know about it?
Actually, it is exactly our job as senators to get the word out. This is our job, is to find these discrepancies and make people know what's going on, because then we can get out and the public can know. I mean, and help basically try to solve these problems. And so my job and our job is to basically keep getting the public and all that to talk about it.
Last thoughts, Senator Broubalow?
Sure. I would just like to add that I don't know the person involved and I don't know the situation entirely, but I think what people need to take away from this bill is not that we're trying to help a friend of Mr. Woods or anyone else's, rather trying to make sure that justice is served and that all parties are held accountable.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a great conversation. Coming up, Jason speaks with Daily Jolt editor Pat McGill, and Baron John Warehouser joins the conversation. We'll be right back after this.